What is up, guys? In today's video, I am super excited to show you guys the Corrado's brand new transmission. We're going to install it and be making custom hockey puck transmission mounts. Like I mentioned at the end of last video, this project has been on hold for a while. So pulled the trans out of the car because it got a hole through the bell housing, pulled out the Pelican differential, sent it down in Georgia, and they were going to inspect it, clean it for me, send it back, and we were going to put it in this parts transmission. It was supposed to be a quick process until the diff got lost in the mail about 3 months ago. So just been waiting, hoping it would turn up somehow, but it hasn't, so bit the bullet. Another thing that makes this more difficult is that Pelicans are out of stock everywhere. You can't buy them right now. So then what? So we now have a wave track. They're a little bit more expensive, but hey, I'm excited to try it out, see if it's any better. Any bit of torque steer that we can eliminate will make it worth it. So huge shout out to AP Tuning in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. They turned this around in under a week and really hooked me up. So I'm really pumped about this. So this was my parts trans, took it to them, had it all painted up. Turns out this bell housing had a hole in it, and this case was on here is actually cracked. So I didn't realize that. I had seen that there's some markings on here from an axle. It was getting a little loose and hit that. So it's actually cracked on the inside of the case right there. They mixed and matched right there. They mixed and matched inside the trans. We did some new synchros, axle seals, and like I said, the wave track. So just huge shout out to them for being willing to do all that for me. Another thing that we did, shout out to Cool's German Auto here in Myerstown. He got me a TDI 5th gear that they installed. So just another thing, I'm really pumped to try out this trans because it's gonna be totally different. And last, also from Cool's, we got this O2J shift tower, which is gonna get mated to a pull box in the car. So really excited to try out these new parts and get this thing back on the road again. Alrighty guys, tranny is in the car. Thanks to my friend Trevor for helping me stick that in there. Now what you guys have been waiting for. Hockey puck, tranny, and engine mounts. I'm going to say that this is the best mount option for a Corrado compared to say BFI or other mounts like that. Obviously price, also stiffness. You can actually adjust how stiff you want it, which we'll talk about that. And obviously height, you can get the engine tuned to get it sitting real nice. Huge shout out to Frank, aka Corrado Alley. This is what he uses in his car, and that 3.6 has a lot of torque and he beats that thing, so you know it's good. So he gave me some tips here, so we're gonna follow that lead and we'll see how this works out. So starting with the tranny mount, if I can get it out, which you can see obviously mine's probably gonna look different than yours because this is already a poly mount, which you can see it's seen much better days. There's a reason that I was getting some clunking here. Also, I'm not sure why they put it all the way down against here because you should have a little bit of a gap there. But I'll show you guys just how I'm doing this here. So simply taking this apart. 2 hockey pucks on the bottom, which I just ground a little bit off so it fits in the cup there real nice. 1 hockey puck on top. The Milwaukee multi-tool, it works really good to cut it and then just grind it down a little bit. Or you can always just use a grinder, but then you get rubber flinging everywhere. So a little bit of a mess. Shove that together. It does kind of move around, so just make sure it's centered real nice on there. Alright, so it's not perfectly centered, but you guys get the point. And voila, just like that, you have a very cheap, very tough mount. I think that's awesome. Obviously, you can adjust the height and whatever there. It needs centered a little bit better, but you guys get the point. What Frank actually runs for the tranny mount is actually the G60 solid mount, which they're very cheap, so there's actually not a reason to do this, but I think it's cool so you guys can visualize it. And I want to have this car running months ago, so I want to get this thing going ASAP. So that's why I'm doing this. moving on to the front engine mount. So once again, a little bit different than what you're used to. This is actually what the factory one would look like. This one already has poly in it, and it's actually holding up beautifully, so I'm not going to take the time to do it. But obviously, you can visualize here that 3 hockey pucks are actually just about identical. So really, really cool to actually visualize that. Now, what I was also saying, you could actually adjust the stiffness. Obviously, this cheese grater looking rubber, this stuff's a lot softer than, say, a hockey puck. So if you're afraid hockey pucks are going to be too aggressive, what you can do is actually cut it the thickness of a hockey puck, stick it between 2 hockey pucks, and so just like that, you can actually adjust how stiff your mount is, which is really cool. And that's what's nice about this, is that later down the road, if I want to soften it up a little bit, you know, just cut some of this out. It's really cool. So shout out to Frank, that's a really cool idea. He also mentioned like filling the holes with RTV. That's just another way that you can decide how thick you want and just, yeah, play around and get it the exact desired feel that you want. Over here then, once again, not a factory mount, but you can see the poly or whatever this is made out of has seen better days. Here's just a factory one, just to show it side by side, but once again, it's just filled with rubber, so it's basically the exact same idea as this. So we'll put hockey pucks in there. Got the rear engine mount prepped. 3 hockey pucks works absolutely perfect. So slide the factory boot on there so it looks real pretty. I drilled them out real nice and tight. Perfect fitment. They'll never know. On the bottom, I did a hockey puck and a half, since that's what I had left over from the transmission, but honestly, you could do 2. Perfect. Brand new. $20 mount right there. Alrighty guys, subframe is in the car, put it all together, and the engine was leaning pretty hard to the driver's side, which VRs always tend to lean that way, but I was hoping to have it about flat. So you can see here, I actually stacked a couple of washers in there on top of the mount. Not a good long-term option, but I put a brand new grade 8 bolt in there. It's gonna work for right now, but like I said, I'm probably gonna end up switching to the solid mount at some point anyway, but at least you guys can kind of gauge how much thickness you need to get it nice and level there. I am tired and just filthy, but I am super excited just seeing this thing come together after being off the road for so long. So doing a separate video next time with the O2J shifter install with the puller box. And hopefully we should be driving the car. So next video, I'll share with you guys how these mounts do, if they are super brutal. We'll get to try out the new trans, the wave track. So super, super excited after this thing's been parked for so long. Also, next video, gonna be sharing some huge news I'm super excited to tell you guys about. So just lots of excited things coming. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button if you guys are enjoying all the Corrado content and are excited for what's coming up. Take care, guys. Peace.